inches below that platform, but that track would have to be 3 feet high in that area. So you would have to start a slow incline north and south to work up to that level as the train comes into that train station. And so you would probably, at that main entrance to the park there on Kansas, that would be raised somewhat there too as people enter in. But we'll just we've got to consider all that, but keep it handicapped accessible and keep it where everything works.
Are the volleyball courts going to be? Are they a sand volleyball? Is that
yes,
okay?
And that's one court, but it would be sand, and it would be dedicated to that. It wouldn't be used for other things. It would just be sand volleyball. There is one of those out at Shannon Springs, but it gets used for the ice skating rink in the winter, and so we're told that it isn't it isn't that available for sand volleyball as it would be if it was just dedicated to that. While I'm talking, item 16, directly east of the train depot, the plan is the caboose that's there by the depot would be moved over to that location, and it would be modified in a way that would be an interactive piece of the playground for kids to climb on and in and around. Okay. Number 12 is still planning to have a water feature. If you look at number 12, and then next to that, number 8, the walking path, the idea is that would be raised somewhat there, and then there would be that little pond or lagoon identified as number 7 on the west side, which would probably periodically be drained. The plan on the lazy river is it is something that would be drained every day. And with that, we're probably going to want to explore, putting a well in there to develop, our own water source if we're having to fill that every day. We're thinking this park will be a 12-month year-round park. And then, the 13 is the kids' play structures, and there's 2 different areas. All the trees indicated on this are existing trees, by the way, and we're wanting to keep as many of those as we can. There may be 2 or 3 here and there that'll have to go, but our goal is to keep those. They're valuable. And something else that's not marked on this, but when we went to the park committee a couple of weeks ago to finalize this, you can see up number 6 on the north end as you come in the north entrance to the park at the Arts Plaza, tables and benches in that area. There will be tables and benches scattered throughout the park as we build this out, but they just are not shown. That kind of a detail is not shown on this master plan.
And the park will be locked at night?
We intend to put a perimeter fence around the park and have it lockable at night.
Mr. Brooks, have you already obtained the miniature train? I know we talked about that in a previous meeting where hopefully that we could have at least part of it would be handicap accessible. Yes.
Yes, and they provide a passenger car that has a handicapped accessible area in it. Okay. Mm-hmm. If there's nothing else, thank you all. We appreciate your support.
All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Item 4, consent docket.
Move to accept the consent docket.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Nelson?
Yes.
Ginn?
Yes.
Ebelthwaite?
Yes.
Grayson?
Yes.
Crosland?
Yes.
Curtis,
Yes.
Boyd,
Yes.
Mosley.
Yes. Item 6A, discussion, consideration, and possible action to authorize the surplus of the circulation desk and circulation area bookshelves at the library.
I move that we approve the surplus of the circulation desk and circulation area bookshelves and authorize staff to dispose of them as deemed appropriate.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Ginn,
Yes.
Hebblethwaite,
Yes.
Grayson,
Yes.
Roslin,
Yes.
Curtis,
Yes.
Boyd,
Yes.
Nelson,
Yes.
Mosley.
Yes. Item 6B, discussion, consideration, and possible action on a recommendation from the Chickasha Economic Development Council awarding the Central Business District Building Grant for CCP LLC for 117 North 2nd Street, Roberto's Tex-Mex, an amount not to exceed $83,400 under terms and conditions adopted by the Economic Development Council.
I move that we proceed with recommendation from Chickasha Economic Development Council awarding the Central Business District Building Grant for CCP LLC for 117 North 2nd Street, Roberto's Tex-Mex, in the amount not to exceed $83,400 under terms and conditions adopted by the EDC.
Second.
Any discussion?
This just bookmarks those funds, right? It doesn't approve anything, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we understood it.
Yep.
It's just saying that they have qualifications of this for disbursement, it will come back to council.
Okay.
I got a question. So this has all been already done though, correct? All the refurbishments, so they'll have to present their receipts of what they've done. What about paragraph 5 here that, because they've just now been approved for the grant, correct?
So this is saying that they met the qualifications, so kind of what we did on the city side is, we vetted to make sure that what they said was done was actually done and make sure the right permits were pulled. They will then have to come back before the EDC first and produce canceled checks, proof of invoices, and proof of payment, is my
Yeah.
understanding. But yes, this is kind of a one that is in a weird order because obviously the restaurant was already opened when
What
they
do we-
applied for the grant.
Okay, I mean, yeah, but what about paragraph 5 there in the grant process? It says, can't be done, see, right there, let's see, where improvements, including improvement of square footage, facade, structural, utility improvements, storage, roof repair, replacement, off-street parking equipment, blah, 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 and other qualifying uses approved at the discretion of the CEDC board of any kind of the property prior to grant approval shall not receive grant funding. So any of those things that have been done prior to approval of a grant shall not receive grant funding. I mean, it's in our,
I mean, Jim's here if he wants to answer anything on that. The EDC recommended this for council.
Jim, you want to say anything?
Sorry. Busy reading it
I mean, I wish they'd come in before they, right when they'd purchased it, and it wouldn't have been a problem.
So you're pointing out a really good point, and we realize there's some concerns there. We're in the process of making suggested edits to this downtown grant form, and it's a little more cumbersome than what we anticipated, but I met with the city manager last week to inform him that we will be coming forward with proposed changes for the future going forward. This particular grant had several significant delays. They first applied for this, they first filled out the application for this grant back last fall, but then they didn't fill everything out. So we've kind of gone back with them, and then there was a delay. She was gone. There's been multiple delays. I think what's being asked of you tonight is to see if this particular business qualifies. This process is just saying whether they qualify for it or not up to this amount. Whether it gets approved or not would go into the next EDC board meeting, and then the EDC would either make a recommendation or not based upon what they turned in. So it would then come back to the council for final approval and reimbursement if you so choose.
So really what I'm understanding is it could be approved up to the 80-some-odd $1,000 here, then y'all will vet the expenses based upon paragraph 5, which is Oscar's concern. Okay.
So what has happened, and part of this delay is a positive. You don't ever want to delay if you can avoid it, but what we're doing, working much closer with city and code enforcement and inspections, is to make sure that if someone says, here's what I did, we want to make sure they also pulled a permit for exactly that. And so there's been a lot of, this grant has been delayed several times, but in a lot of ways in positive manners, to make sure we understand that exactly what they're doing, and that the permits that they applied for match up with the amount of remodeling that they said they did.
I feel like, you know, I remember when they bought the building and started doing the work and opened and stuff. And, you know, the grant program was there, but they should have applied for it right then and been approved, I would have thought, you know, by these conditions. And then we come back after they've done the work and had the permits, and then you do the checks again. But to me, this is saying that, I mean, what, the sheet that I'm looking at, this grant agreement and guidelines, in March of 30th of March, they filled it out, but they were already open by then.
When she, again, last fall, she said that she was interested in applying for the downtown grant, okay? We sent her the grant form. For whatever level, there may have been some miscommunication on exactly what the process was. We were waiting for the grant to come back, there was a delay, and they went forward. So I understand your concerns, and I also believe that when we make some recommended edits to the city for review, we can address some of this. And there's several things on this original document. You have to remember, when this was done back in 2018 or 19, we didn't really have anything going on downtown. And so we're just excited to have something. Now we're looking at it because those grant funds will continue to decrease as developments come in. So we need to make some recommendations for the city to have some edits to it.
But the way I see this, and I could be wrong, Oscar, I mean, you're 100% correct the way it's written, but this to me just seems like we're identifying whether the address itself and the business itself does qualify for the grant. Mm-hmm. Not that we're paying them anything yet. Right. We're just saying at this point, okay, yeah, they meet the left and right standards, or they don't, for the ability to try to get reimbursed. Right?
We're not doing the money right now.
No, we're just saying, yes, this business falls within the left and right limits of what we say, or what we have said qualifies. The money thing is later, whether they can present receipts that are timeline of approved, you know, or not.
But when they come back and ask for the money,
We still have control of that.
Yeah.
Council.
well, I mean, it's still under paragraph 5, not
Yes, it
eligible.
would, it would.
Yes.
It's already done. Is that what you're saying?
Yes,
And that's what I'm saying, is it's kind of a moot point, really. I mean, technically, you know, it shouldn't have ever even come forward. It should never even been brought forward by paragraph 5 here. But if you know, and that's my concern is, you know, I want to see the grant program continue on and everything, but if we bend here for one person and then we don't bend for another, then we're in trouble. And that's where I'm looking at it from.
I understand.
You know, and so to me, it shouldn't even came forward. It should have been said, well, I'm sorry, you know, I know you were in a hurry to open, but we should have dotted our I's and crossed, you know, done everything we could prior, and that way you were already approved, because if it'd come in the fall before they started anything, it would have been approved, and then we look at the funding later. But to me, I don't feel like it should have even been put on the agenda. I mean, that's just my.
Are we saying that if they do any work moving forward from this, so we're not even gonna look at it? Is that what you're?
Well, when they bought the building, the grant
Right.
program was there. We knew
100%.
it was there, and we knew it was that district. Everybody, I mean, a lot of people did, maybe they did. Apply for the grant, then we approve the grant, and then we come back and they ask for the money, after they've done their work.
Yeah.
I guess is what I'm saying. And maybe I'm wrong in what I'm seeing on this. I'm just trying to clarification.
No, per what the contract says, I think you're right, spot on for the expenses they've already incurred, but
Yeah.
I think what we're trying to decide is if we're even gonna allow them to do any more work and present that.
Well, I mean, are they planning on doing more work? I haven't heard.
I'm not aware of them planning on doing any more work. I just kind of want to go back to the fact that this thing has been delayed multiple times, okay? And then as we make some recommended edits to the city, timing is a factor too, because the way the grant process works right now, someone, let's say they buy a building, okay? Then they want to put a business into that building. They present a lot of information to the EDC, and then we go ask questions. We try to work with them to make sure that they're doing all the paperwork correct. Then, since the EDC meeting's only once a month, then they have to go before the EDC board. Well, if that gets approved, then we're still having to go before council. So sometimes there could be a lag of someone, possibly as many as 4 or 5 months from the time they buy a building before this grant gets approved. This one has been substantially longer, and it's more of the exception than the rule in terms of how long it's taken. But again, I'll continue to emphasize there have been significant delays on many levels.
Jim, is there any language that prevents any business that's already open and operating from applying for this grant? Is there, like if you bought a building downtown and you did go and you opened up and then you wanted to apply, like is there any language that says, no, once you're open, you're done, you can't?
I think it's just the improvements, because it says all reimbursements with grant funding for both purchase of property will not be paid prior to verified completion of the project.
Well, that's what
Okay,
I'm
I'm
saying.
sorry, here we go. Well, hang on a second. All reimbursements of grant funding for both purchase of property and/or investments or improvements will not be paid prior to verified completion of the project or certificate of occupancy received by the city of Chickasha, improvements including. So we can't do any reimbursement until basically have the certificate of occupancy.
Which they already have.
CO, which they have now. So now that paragraph really to me applies to payment of the improvements after they have their CO. If they don't have the CO, then we definitely can't reimburse anything. That's why it goes through Rachel's office to make sure that's taken care of. I think the expense you're looking at here, when I'm kind of reading, when you read the first sentence, it's talking about all funding must go through, before we even consider a reimbursement, they have to have a certificate of occupancy. So we can't pay as you go. It has to have the CO.
Well, I'm just saying, to me, this is a simple question of whether the address qualifies or doesn't.
That's correct. It's
That's what this boils down to, this
It is,
question right here in
right.
front of us.
And it goes through.
That's what it boils down to.
The EDC in Rachel's office to be brought before us to make sure the right inspections are made, the permits are pulled, things like that. Then that comes back to us.
And even if the address qualifies, Oscar's right, per this paragraph, none of these expenses will qualify. But that's not the question we're asked. We're asked
Well,
if
the
this
questions-
address
Well, in
is,
these questions here, or the items here that said we reimburse, they have to have occupancy. This is
Yeah,
continuation
but
saying,
but
if they don't have the CO, we can't reimburse anything.
right here.
ADA, nothing.
But it's the second
before-
paragraph is the kicker
Right,
on it.
not for grant received.
Second sentence
Yeah.
is the kicker on it.
Right. What's that?
The second sentence in that paragraph is the kicker, is it says,
Improvements including?
any other qualifying uses approved at the discretion of the city board of any kind of the property prior to grant approval. So any of these repairs that they've done
okay. I see what you're
prior to grant approval will not be receive grant
Yeah,
funding.
that- and that-
kinda
The very last part, yeah.
but that's if they bring anything back to us to want reimbursed, that's where that kicks in and we say, well, sorry, we can't do that because it was done before
Right.
your approval. Right?
That's what
That's what I read that.
it reads right there is, this is ADA compliant, qualifying uses approved at the discretion of the CEDC board of any kind to property part of grant approval shall not be receive grant funding.
Have we denied any applications for this grant? Do we have any precedents on this, why we've said no before. I don't think we've denied any of them.
Sales tax driven or some.
Was
That
it?
was called the EDC side.
I'm not aware of the city council denying
I don't
any
know if they have.
grants that the EDC's recommended. The EDC, when someone comes to me, the first thing is, if you're applying for a downtown grant, are you in the boundaries, and are you going to produce a business that generates sales tax? If the answer to both those are yes, then we go forward and say, okay, how much sales tax, what kind of business, what's your business plan, trying to understand and vet the business. So the EDC hasn't turned any down since 2020, but there have been some that have applied or wanted to apply, but they didn't qualify.
So the way I read this here, all reimbursements, I'm going to paraphrase it, I'm going to chop out some of the middle stuff. All reimbursements shall not be paid unless they are approved by the city of Chickasha. Is that correct, Rachel? We can't even consider it an expense unless your office has gone through and Darren's done the proper inspections and things like that. So we can't even consider any expense until then.
I mean,
This
is a new
really
way
doesn't
of-
have to do with the product, this has to do with expenses. And the product, is the project itself. So like you're saying, we're just looking at, do we approve this project?
This is simple. Does the address qualify or does it
Right,
not?
yeah.
That's what this question is right now. Has nothing to do with spending money or giving them money or anything
No,
like
it's just
that.
the project.
This is a new way that we're doing these grants, so it's coming before council twice, so really the policing power is on city council here. So city council can make the decision whether it qualifies, and then secondarily, city council can make the decision if it qualifies for that reimbursement. And so this was new, this is a new process that we're kind of working on, so that's why there's changes.
So, yeah, so we're right now really considering an address at this point.
Okay.
And then you'll let us know about expenses and such, what would qualify under the new guidelines.
I mean, if they qualified, the EDC would bring a recommendation back to the city
Okay.
that would be brought back before council.
Okay.
If it
But they're
is
working
still-
closely with Rachel's office, with community development, okay?
Jim, what was the delay between June 22nd and now? What took so long to get it to us?
Well, there's been several, I know when they submitted the information, again, the way the city and the EDC are working on this is much closer hand in hand than previous. So we're trying to make, the city wants us to look and say, hey, if you said you spent $15,000 on this particular item, well, did they pull a permit for that? So I think, and I think this is all good and positive. I think Rachel has scrutinized everything that was going on to make sure that everything looked good. And then I think she's had some questions that has been asked of the owners of the building. I think there's been at times slow responses from the owners. So I'm not trying to blame it all on them. The process is under a lot more scrutiny than it has been previously. But certainly the owners could be a little more timely with some of their response and getting information back. Is that fair?
Yeah, I think we're here to do is steward of taxpayer funds and make sure we're awarding grants where they need to be awarded. So this has definitely helped. There were some permitting items that we had to correct on this side through my department, and we corrected those, so.
Well, and the program itself could be evolving every year. It has to because funds are limited. This is what it is.
Jim, another question. Say this does get approved and those funds are earmarked. How long are those funds earmarked before they roll back into the fold if, say, no improvements are ever done and we can't reimburse them anything? How long before that money gets put back in the pot?
Well, I can tell you that there have been 2 different downtown grants that went through the approval process, and they were approved, but construction never started. And because of that, they expired. So
What's the
18 months. It's 18 months, and then
18
they
months?
ask
Yeah, it's
for
18
a...
months. Is
ask
William
for an
Shoes is
extension
one of them. I
if they
can't remember
need
what the
to.
other one
Yeah.
was. Any other questions?
I'm good.
Okay.
Thank you, Jim.
All right, thanks, Jim. Okay, and nothing else? Roll call, please.
Hibblethwaite,
Yes.
Grayson,
Yes.
Crosland,
Yes.
Curtis,
No.
Boyd,
No.
Nelson,
No.
Ginn,
Yes.
Mosley.
Yes. Okay. Item 6C, discussion, consideration, and possible action to approve the contract between the City of Chickasha and Hudson Prince for engineering review services and authorize the mayor to execute the same.
I move that we approve the contract between the City of Chickasha and Hudson Prince for engineering review services and authorize the mayor to execute the same.
Second.
Any discussion? I guess we're getting busy again. There you go.
Current on-contract engineers, and so it just seems prudent and timely to add an additional one. This is just an on-call service, so there's no regularly fee unless we use them. But it's just time to have another engineer on.
Okay.
How much does this speed up your turnaround time?
I don't know that we're behind on anything right now, but we are seeing a lot of people either use Dan Angelonis or some people are using Scott Vaughn. And we don't want to get ourselves in a pickle by any means to be slowed down. So with the more commercial development coming on and more floodplain development coming on, it's just, we're trying to be ahead of the curve.
Sounds good. Any more discussion? Roll call.
Grayson,
Yes.
Crosland,
Yes.
Curtis,
Yes.
Boyd,
Yes.
Nelson,
Yes.
Ginn,
Yes.
Hebblethwaite,
Yes.
Mosley.
Yes. Item 6D, discussion, consideration, and possible action to approve the master service agreement and task authorization for the water treatment plant improvement project for Freeze and Nichols, Inc.
Move to approve the master service agreement and task authorization for the water treatment plan, improvement project for Freeze and Nichols Incorporated, and authorize the mayor to execute the same.
Second.
Any discussion?
Just a silly question. Why do we call this improvement when it's replacement?
Well, you guys want to, Freeze and Nichols is here to address that. You want to speak up and answer the question?
I mean, it's just the semantics.
What's that?
I think that was what
Okay.
Mr. Vaughn called the bid package.
And also it incorporates some like water source, and there's some other things in there too. And we have some older studies, but they're older studies. I don't know what value they carry today because everyday changes. I don't know. I'm sure some of that will be drawn into like Fort Cobb or other water sources and such. There's a lot of moving targets still with that.
Existing water supply and water distribution systems. So it is a little bit broader than just the replacement of the plant itself, but this doesn't mean that we're going beyond the engineering needed for that plant. We're not redesigning the water distribution system or incoming system.
Anything else? Roll call.
Crosland,
Yes.
Curtis,
Yes.
Boyd,
Yes.
Nelson,
Yes.
Ginn,
Yes.
Hebblethwaite,
Yes.
Grayson,
Yes.
Mosley.
Yes. 6E, discussion, consideration, and possible action to approve ordinance 2023-28, amending the Code of Ordinances, Chapter 40, Parks, Recreation, and Other Public Facilities, Article 1, in general, Section 40-4, traffic restrictions, to provide that motor vehicles may not be driven in park areas unless so designated, amending Chapter 40, Parks, Recreation, and Other Public Facilities, Article 1, in general, Section 40-32, to provide that park and recreational areas shall be open from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m., and providing for exceptions for Lake Chickasha, amending Chapter 40, Parks, Recreation, and Other Public Facilities, Article 1, in general, Section 40 through 40-33, overnight camping, to prohibit overnight camping and provide for exceptions for Lake Chickasha, amending Chapter 40, Parks, Recreation, and Other Public Facilities, Article 1, in general, Sections 40-34, providing for a penalty.
Move that we approve ordinance 2023-28 as presented.
Second?
Any discussion? Roll call.
Curtis,
Yes.
Boyd,
Yes.
Nelson,
Yes.
Ginn,
Yes.
Hebblethwaite,
Yes.
Grayson,
Yes.
Crosland,
Yes.
Mosley.
Yes. Item 6F, discussion, consideration, and possible action to Approve the emergency clause of ordinance 2023-28, amending the Code of Ordinances, Chapter 40, Parks, Recreation, and Other Public Facilities, Article 1, in general, Section 40-4, traffic restrictions to provide that motor vehicles may not be driven in park areas unless so designated, amending Chapter 40 Parks, Chapter 40 Parks, Recreation, and Other Public Facilities, Article 1, in general, Sections 40-32, to provide that park and recreational areas shall be open from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. and providing for exceptions for Lake Chickasha. Amending Chapter 40 Parks, Recreation, and Other Public Facilities, Article 1, in general, Section 40-33, overnight camping, to prohibit overnight camping and providing for exceptions for Lake Chickasha. Amending Chapter 40 Parks, Recreation, and Other Public Facilities, Article 1, in general, Sections 40-34, providing for a penalty.
Move that we approve ordinance 2023-29 as presented.
Second?
Any discussion?
Thanks for doing all that reading.
Yeah, thanks. Roll call.
Boyd,
Yes.
Nelson,
Yes.
Ginn,
Yes.
Ebblethwaite,
Yes.
Grayson,
Yes.
Crosland,
Yes.
Curtis,
Yes.
Mosley.
Yes. Item 6G, discussion, consideration, and possible action to approve ordinances 2023-29, amending the Code of Ordinances, Chapter 36 offenses, Article 5, offenses against property, Sections 36-125, to prohibit trespass and illegal entrance on public or private property, to provide for exceptions.
Move that we approve ordinance 2023-29 as presented.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Nelson,
Yes.
Ginn,
Yes.
Ebblethwaite,
Yes.
Grayson,
Yes.
Crosland,
Yes.
Curtis,
Yes.
Boyd,
Yes.
Mosley.
Yes. Item 6H, discussion, consideration, and possible action, approve the emergency clause of ordinance 2023-29, amending the Code of Ordinances, Chapter 36 offenses, Article 5, offenses against property, Section 36-125, to prohibit trespass and illegal entrance on public or private property, to provide for exceptions.
Make a motion to approve the emergency clause of ordinance 2023-29.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Ginn,
Yes.
Ebblethwaite,
Yes.
Grayson,
Yes.
Crosland,
Yes.
Curtis,
Yes.
Boyd,
Yes.
Nelson,
Yes.
Mosley.
Yes. Item 6I, discussion, consideration, and possible action to approve ordinance 2023-30, amending the Code of Ordinances, Chapter 8, Animals, Article 3, Care and Control, Division 1, generally Section 8-151, to provide regulations relating to fowl, including an annual permit and inspection from animal control, restrict the use of the permit fee to animal control, limiting the number of fowl to 5, and prohibiting roosters.
I move that we approve ordinance 2023-30 as presented.
Second.
Discussion?
What changed? What was the limit before on chickens?
I don't know that there was a limit before, but I can tell you that before, or currently as it stands, the code official, the police officer, the animal control officer, myself, and Darren all have to go and approve a chicken house.
Oh, you did?
So we were
Okay.
just putting this back on animal control, so animal control can determine if this property qualifies for a chicken house or not.
Okay.
So you streamlined it quite a bit to get.
We're gonna do the permits for them. If anyone needs one, our admin can handle that for the animal control department, but they're gonna handle the determination if they qualify.
Okay. All right. Any other questions? Roll call.
Ebblethwaite,
Yes.
Grayson,
Yes.
Crosland,
Yes.
Curtis,
Yes.
Boyd,
Yes.
Nelson,
Yes.
Ginn,
Yes.
Mosley.
Yes. Item 6J, discussion, consideration, and possible action to approve the emergency clause of ordinance 2023-30, amending the Code of Ordinances, Chapter 8, Animals, Article 3, Care and Control, Division 1, generally Section 8-151, to provide regulations relating to fowl, including an annual permit and inspection from animal control, restricting the use of the permit fee to animal control, limiting the number of fowl to 5, and prohibiting roosters.
Move that we approve the emergency clause of ordinance 2023-30.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Grayson,
Yes.
Crosland,
Yes.
Curtis,
Yes.
Boyd,
Yes.
Nelson,
Yes.
Ginn,
Yes.
Hebblethwaite,
Yes.
Mosley.
Yes. Item 6K, discussion, consideration, and possible action to authorize the purchase from state contract of a computer fuel system from Petroleum Marketers Equipment Company, an amount not to exceed $31,376.15.
I move to authorize the purchase from state contract of a computer fuel system from Petroleum Marketers Equipment Company in an amount not to exceed $31,376.15.
Second?
Any discussion? Roll call.
Crosland,
Yes.
Curtis,
Yes.
Boyd,
Yes.
Nelson,
Yes.
Ginn,
Yes.
Hebblethwaite,
Yes.
Grayson,
Yes.
Mosley.
Yes. 6L, discussion, consideration, and possible action to authorize the purchase of an E42 R2 Series Bobcat compact excavator from Bobcat of Oklahoma City using a state contract for amount not to exceed $65,471.58.
I move that we authorize the purchase of an E42 R2 Series Bobcat compact excavator from Bobcat of Oklahoma City using state contract for an amount not to exceed $65,471.58.
Second.
Any discussion?
Is there a budget line for this? The budget information's not on the bottom.
We have two in the budget, a smaller one and a larger one, to help us get in different areas. The one we have now is broken down. And in fact, we've had to rent one. We rented one for 5 months last year, and would like to get these in and so we can move forward.
Thank you, Jim.
Any other discussion? Roll call.
Curtis,
Yes.
Boyd,
Yes.
Nelson,
Yes.
Ginn,
Yes.
Hebblethwaite,
Yes.
Grayson,
Yes.
Crosland,
Yes.
Mosley.
Yes. Item 6M, discussion, consideration, and possible action on a request from the Grady County Coordinated Community Response Team to conduct a fundraising event, Together We Heal, on September 30, 2023.
I move that we approve the request from the Grady County Coordinated Community Response Team to conduct a fundraising event, Together We Heal, on September 30th, 2023.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Boyd,
Yes.
Nelson,
Yes.
Ginn,
Yes.
Hebblethwaite,
Yes.
Grayson,
Yes.
Crosland,
Yes.
Curtis,
Yes.
Mosley.
Yes. Item 6N, discussion, consideration, and possible action to approve a request from the Chickasha Optimists to conduct their 9th annual Christmas Carol 5K run to be held Saturday, December 2nd, 2023 at 8 a.m.
I move to approve a request from the Chickasha Optimists to conduct their 9th annual Christmas Carol 5K run to be held Saturday, December 2nd, 2023 at 8 o'clock a.m.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Nelson,
Yes.
Ginn,
Yes.
Hebblethwaite,
Yes.
Grayson,
Yes.
Crosland,
Yes.
Curtis,
Yes.
Boyd,
Yes.
Mosley.
Yes. Item 6O, discussion, consideration, and possible action to make an appointment to the Chickasha Industrial Authority.
I move that we appoint Georgianne Hibbleswaite to the Chickasha Industrial Authority.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Ginn,
Yes.
Hebblethwaite,
Abstain.
Grayson,
Yes.
Crosland,
Yes.
Curtis,
Yes.
Boyd,
Yes.
Nelson,
Yes.
Mosley.
Yes. Item 6P, discussion, consideration, and possible action to approve the request from the Chickasha Chamber of Commerce for the annual lighted Christmas parade to be held along Chickasha Avenue on Saturday, December 2nd, 2023.
I move that we approve the request from the Chickasha Chamber of Commerce for the annual lighted Christmas parade to be held along Chickasha Avenue on Saturday, December 2nd, 2023, with permission to block Chickasha Avenue from 8th Street to 1st Street from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m.
Second.
Any discussion? Jim, has a theme been set yet? Yes. Thanks.
Got him.
I'm glad you cleared that up for me, so, yeah. I didn't know. Yeah, let's, roll call, please.
Hibblethwaite,
Yes.
Grayson,
Yes.
Crosland,
Yes.
Gertis,
Yes.
Boyd,
Yes.
Nelson,
Yes.
Ginn,
Yes.
Mosley.
Yes. Okay. Item 6Q, discussion, consideration, and possible action to approve the request from the Chickasha Chamber of Commerce to decorate the vacant lot at the southwest corner of 6th Street and Chickasha Avenue.
Make a motion to approve the request from the Chickasha Chamber of Commerce to decorate the city's vacant lot at the southwest corner of 6th Street and Chickasha Avenue.
Second.
Any discussion?
Want to ask that again?
I'm not.
I was wondering what the theme was, Mayor.
We get roll call.
Grayson,
Yes.
Crosland,
Yes.
Gertis,
Yes.
Boyd,
Yes.
Nelson,
Yes.
Ginn,
Yes.
Hibblethwaite,
Yes.
Mosley.
Yes. Item 7, motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Adjourn. I'd like to call to order the Chickasha Municipal Authority. Roll call, please.
Boyd,
Here.
Nelson,
Here.
Ginn,
Here.
Hibblethwaite,
Here.
Grayson,
Here.
Crosland,
Here.
Gertis,
Here.
Mosley.
Here. Item 2, consent docket.
Move that we approve the consent docket as presented.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Nelson,
Yes.
Ginn,
Yes.
Hibblethwaite,
Yes.
Grayson,
Yes.
Crosland,
Yes.
Gertis,
Yes.
Boyd,
Yes.
Mosley.
Yes. Item 4A, discussion, consideration, and possible action to accept changes to the Chickasha Downtown Park Master Plan presented by Pat Brooks, Chickasha Community Foundation Board President, on September 18th, 2023.
I move that we accept the changes to Chickasha Downtown Park Master Plan presented by Pat Brooks, CCF Board President, on September 18th, 2023.
Second.
Discussion?
Yeah. Rachel, does this eventually have to go before the Historic Preservation Board? Okay. And will it come back to us with the engineering when they're done?
Well, so council is the ultimate power over them, so I think if council approves this, it wouldn't make sense to bring the same design before the historic preservation, because they are a lower, lesser committee. Obviously, they answer to city council. City council is the highest. So it kind of depends on what council does here, basically. If we want to take it to historic preservation, I think the big concern, for me, from a development standpoint, is going to be that floodplain management, because the plan that they're presenting today, we don't know if it'll fit in all of that floodplain. There could be a lot of major changes. So, I mean, and I've not seen the lease, so I don't know if that requires them to come back before council with those changes, because I anticipate some in the building permit process, there to be alterations to placement, maybe some of those things.
Well, any changes to the master plan would have to come back.
Yeah, I think the lease agreement states that. It comes back to us if there's a change. Pat, do you recall?
Yeah, he said it earlier.
Is it? Okay. All right. Dang, your memory's better. I don't even know when Christmas is.
I'm younger.
Any other discussion? Roll call.
Ginn,
Yes.
Hibblethwaite,
Yes.
Grayson,
Yes.
Crosland,
Yes.
Gertis,
Yes.
Boyd,
Yes.
Nelson,
Yes.
Mosley.
Yes. Item 4B, discussion, consideration, and possible action to approve change order number 1 for CMA-2203 sanitary sewer main replacement at US Highway 62 near 16th Street, and authorize the chairman to execute the same.
Move that we approve change order number 1 for CMA-2203 sanitary sewer main replacement at US Highway 62 near 16th Street and authorize the chairman to execute the same.
Second.
Discussion?
It says here that they didn't know there was an existing pipeline where they were gonna place theirs.
Didn't know there was one?
Yeah, it says, it was discovered that an existing pipeline lies in the location of the proposed sanitary sewer main, preventing installation of
That's what
design.
collapsed.
Huh?
That's what collapsed.
No,
No, I'm arguing with you. I'm just like, yeah, to me, they should have known. 'Cause that's
well, I'm just wondering what kind of pipeline was it?
one goes underneath the Highway 62. If you go up, you know where Station 1 is?
Yeah, I've
Go a
seen
little
them
bit,
working,
yeah.
I've seen them working, but
We've
I'm
been
just saying.
bypassing with a hose.
Yeah, but see, they're saying, they're requesting a change order, and that's fine, I mean,
Jim, what exactly changed?
they discovered another pipeline that they didn't know was there,
Okay.
and they went
Okay, I misunderstood. Okay.
where they were wanting to put it, and so I was just wondering what kind of pipeline did they find that was there, that wasn't marked and couldn't be located?
When the gentleman started to dig to do the bore under the highway, we found another line. Of course, the state then would not let us continue digging in that area or put the bore through there, not knowing what's going through there, which we have to go back in and plug that line and then fill it with flowable fill. We then had to move 20 feet to the west, do a new bore, and that made us put in another manhole on the other side,
Okay.
more material, and that's really the case of it. Anytime you start digging, you don't know really what you're going to find. I mean, on First Street, when we started moving a couple of water lines to put the parking in, we found a 6-inch line that went across the park to the east that was closed. It was, and we plugged that off. We also found another 12-inch line that was active. And there's another line in there with water also that was active, but this does not show up on the map. You never know, when you, like I said, when you start doing it, and causes a little bit of delay, but at least the project is finished at this time.
Okay. Oh, okay. So it was like an abandoned line that was there, just filled, you just filled it in then? Terminated and filled it? So wait,
Right.
the first line that was found,
Now,
it
this
was
is the
just
line
terminated
that
and
we
then?
had the bypass for 4 years. We went around that.
Okay,
We ended up putting in 3 manholes as opposed to the 2 that we talked about to take care of it. But it has been accepted by the state. Everybody's happy at this time.
Okay.
And we're moving forward, and the company's moving over to put in the sewer line for the 81 bypass.
okay.
All right.
Okay. Anybody else? Roll call?
Hebblethwaite,
Yes.
Grayson,
Yes.
Roslin,
Yes.
Curtis,
Yes.
Boyd,
Yes.
Nelson,
Yes,
Ginn,
Yes.
Mosley.
Yes. Item 4C, discussion, consideration, and possible action to authorize resolution 2023-21R to open a new bank account for the Chickasha Municipal Authority Water Treatment Plant Project at First National Bank and Trust.
Move that we authorize resolution number 2023-21R to open a new bank account for the Chickasha Municipal Authority Water Treatment Plant Project at First National Bank and Trust.
Second.
Any discussion?
Yeah, I was wondering, Mr. Keith, could you tell me why this agenda item did it have to be written for a certain bank to be named? Or is it?
Bank named, it's just in an effort to be very transparent with the funds that we're borrowing from the Oklahoma Water Resources Board. We wanted both the general ledger and the cash or bank statement to reflect just that money that's in that account for that purpose. So it's just an effort to be transparent with the funds has nothing to do with which bank is chosen. That will be chosen by who has the best rates, and
So we still have flexibility to the best interest of the city then?
yes.
Because the agenda item does reference First National Bank and Trust, if a council member would like to make a motion where all banks may be considered, that does need to be reflected in the motion.
Well, I would like to make that part of the motion.
Okay, so we need, who,
Hillcliff made the motion.
okay,
Second was
so
by
Georgiana needs
Nelson.
to change the motion, if so chooses, to reflect all banks.
So basically, we're going out for bid, is that what you're saying? Is that what you're wanting to do?
I'm sorry?
Is that what you're wishing to do, Kelly, is to go out to bid?
Yeah, I just don't think we ought to disqualify any bank institutions that could,
Was it ease of use, the way you just transfer over from operating to the special sales tax?
Makes it a lot easier for us if we keep, because we have other accounts there, if we can keep it at First National.
and we may end up doing, I'm just saying that it seems very mandating. It kind of narrows the city's options to look for other competitive resources.
Jane can withdraw her motion, and Kelly can make his own if he wants.
I think, well, a lot of it's just ease of use. I mean, so they can the money comes in one account, the money makes it all the 3.75 plus the additional half once it January 1st hits. And then the 1.25 will then move out over to that account, the same bank, so you can see the transactions moving over.
Correct.
Okay. If we had another bank, you'd have to say wire transfer and the reception in another bank, correct? Correct. So really, it's more of a bookkeeping ease with a single transfer. So you can run up two ledgers and compare them.
That was my query. I just wanted an explanation of why that was written the way it was. That was it.
Okay. All right. Then roll call.
Grayson,
Yes.
Roslin,
Yes.
Gertis,
Yes.
Boyd,
Yes.
Nelson,
Yes.
Ginn,
Yes.
Epplethwaite,
Yes.
Mosley.
Yes. Item 5, motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
Adjourn. I'd like to call to order the Chickasha Municipal Airport Authority. Roll call, please.
Boyd,
Here.
Nelson,
Here.
Ginn,
Here.
Epplethwaite,
Here.
Grayson,
Here.
Roslin,
Here.
Gertis,
Here.
Mosley.
Here. Item 2, consent docket.
Move that we accept as presented.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Nelson,
Yes.
Ginn,
Yes.
Epplethwaite,
Yes.
Grayson,
Yes.
Roslin,
Yes.
Gertis,
Yes.
Boyd,
Yes.
Mosley.
Yes. Item 4A, discussion, consideration, and possible action to award a construction contract for Construct T-Hanger CAA-2302 to Diversified Construction of Oklahoma.
I move that we award a construction contract for Construct T-Hanger CAA-2302 to Diversified Construction of Oklahoma in the amount of $1,084,764.92.
Second.
Any discussion?
All right, so they're gonna clarify now where that change come over. Where is it?
It was the engineering fees, wasn't it?
Price the low bid contractor provided, that's one we're awarding. But yeah, there's additional Park Hill costs and city costs to bring us up to the 1.2 million total project cost.
All right, yeah, I just was wondering. Okay.
Anything else? Roll call.
Ginn,
Yes.
Epplethwaite,
Yes.
Grayson,
Yes.
Roslin,
Yes.
Gertis,
Yes.
Boyd,
Yes.
Nelson,
Yes.
Mosley.
Yes. Item 5, motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Moved.
Second.
Who's who?
He's on
Interchangeable.
first.
Did you
Throw 'em
get
out
that?
there.
Did you get that
It's the
down?
voice I hear the most.
We're adjourned.
Dr.